All right. Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? It is another Financial Friday. Favorite day of the week. Here with my boys, per the usual. We are here to bless the internet verse, webiverse, this cloudiverse with information about finances, the market, what's going on this week. Before we get started, first thing, these are strictly our opinions, okay? We are not giving you advice. We are not telling you what you should and or should not do when it comes to your finances. So please don't go sell your houses or your stocks and blame Rico, Glenn, and Cam because I will plead the fifth. And so, second thing, the way that we rock around here is every week one of us will pick three articles to discuss some of the trending topics that are going on in the finance world, real estate, crypto, stocks, retirement, you name it, we talk about it. So, welcome to the show. This week is Rico's turn, so we're gonna hear a little bit about why he chose what he chose. But before we get started, gentlemen, what's up?
What's up?
What's going on, man? What's going on? I'm gonna be the opposite of what I usually am. I'm gonna try to breathe some life into this thing. I know y'all. It seems like they've been on their grind, so Jeremiah's gonna be opposite of himself. What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing? Everybody doing great? Let's get it.
I
Yeah,
like
buddy.
I like the old Rico.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to tell that back. This ain't your show, bro.
Oh, okay. You're right. Let me.
Nah,
That key. Oh, speaking of which, hold on, I forgot. Hold on. Oh, he got a little light with his last name on it. I love my wife. She
See.
got that. She got that for me. But all right, Rico, man. Hey, as I pull up the first article, bro, please tell us why you chose it and why you think it's important for people to know about this.
So the first article that we're pulling up is going to be about Tesla. And finally, anybody that's watched us, you guys know, right? I love Tesla, but I have a love-hate relationship with Elon because I'm like, dude, for the genius that you are, what did I
Mhm.
say back in probably our first or second episode, right? I said, get someone else to be the CEO of freaking Twitter. You know,
Yes.
for the long time, it's been, oh my God, it's been chaos, madness, all this stuff going on. Tesla stock tanking. Like people have been begging Elon, bro, please find someone to run Twitter. Get your head back in the game with
Mhm.
SpaceX, right? Get your head back in the game with Tesla. And this article is simply about Linda. I want to make sure I'm not butchering her name, but Yucarino.
Mhm.
And it's basically she used to work with um, over at NBC. She was the actually head of marketing stuff over at NBC, and so she comes over with about 20 years of experience in large scale media. And so as we read through the article, Elon is just saying that he named her. He is excited about getting to work with her. That's a big thing because I believe it. Most stuff Elon says, I just believe because
Mhm.
usually he doesn't lie. He okay. He's got Asperger's, right? So he doesn't care basically what you think. He doesn't have the inhibitors that most people have in
Mhm.
their brain. His don't exist. And so he usually just tells the truth. And so when he says he's excited, I actually believe that he's excited. And I think that comes from her having the experience of helping to grow NBC. Peacock, which was the streaming service with NBC, she had a hand in that and helping to market that and help grow it to where it is today. And so, as you read throughout the article, there's a lot of things that's in here. Obviously, the pressure is on Elon as China is doing their thing, and there's some recalls of vehicles over in China, right? There is
Yeah.
competition in the EV space from almost every single American automotive producer. They're starting to go EV, right? They said the entire world will be EV by 2035, and so Tesla's starting to have some competition now. And so with all that, and then the demand being lower in the United States and stuff, Elon's been under a lot of pressure to try to correct some of these things. And so Tesla stock has obviously been tanking. Let's go down a little bit, Cam. We'll show them. I mean, It's going to show some beautiful pictures of the new CEO. But
Oh, okay. I was
go
like,
down a little bit.
there we
Yeah,
go.
show me. There it
Graphs.
is.
That's what we know he
Yes,
wants.
yes. I need the graphs, guys. So just in retrospect, right? If you're looking at Tesla's prices, you see they're kind of went down a little bit after the bail, but prices have been going up with Tesla once he made the actual announcement that now we got a new CEO. People are starting to feel hopeful. And what they're hopeful on is that Elon will focus himself and that brain of his back to actually being innovative, helping SpaceX do whatever they need to do, and helping Tesla figure out this logistical and this sales nightmare and, you know, getting the shares back up. So I see the whole as a holistically, and I want you guys to tap in on this, but holistically, I think that this is a very good idea by Elon. I've been saying this for forever. What he said was that he's going to maintain the innovative and technology side of Twitter, right? And then Linda's going to actually take over with, you know, the day-to-day, the scale, the systematic stuff, you know, the stuff that Elon's not good at, because he's not good at that, right? And so he's going to let her take care of that. Now, something very interesting in this article that he says, or you know, let you guys give yours. He says that he wants Twitter to be X, like App X, to be the one-stop shop platform. What that means, only the world knows. But I'm pretty sure if you're in Elon's brain, something crazy is going to come up out of this, right? And so I actually want to ask you guys, when he says that Twitter is going to become App X, what do you guys think that means? And then what's you guys' opinion of him turning over the CEO?
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. So I'm gonna come all the way back to that question. Initially, to your initial question, I think that is a smart move. You know, it kind of goes back to like keeping the main thing. So while he is such a brilliant guy and has his hands involved in so many projects, you know, like the main thing being the main thing, the SpaceX and Tesla, like that's kind of, you know, that should be the overall focus. Yes, finding ways that you can collaborate or bridge or merge different things within that vision. That's the smart move as a CEO, leader, and different things like that. But and then also you mentioned Linda. I think finding someone that has the experience of someone like her, it's a smart move. It just makes perfect sense because it gives you the opportunity to still have a voice at the table, but yet you can trust the person to be out in the field, making those connections, growing Twitter to the next level, and you know, but and even with that, the reason why it's even a more smart move is because the stocks are down, right? And as we've seen it, like as soon as he announced it, within months, the stocks took a huge dip.
Yeah.
And so now, as the CEO of both platforms, you have to make a sound decision. That sound decision is finding someone who is competent enough to run the Twitter platform to be able to keep it going and moving forward, right? And so. And again, it allows him to kind of keep his focus on that main thing. So that's kind of all of that. And your question at the end was what, Rico?
Nope, I'm gonna answer it. I was listening.
Nope.
Go ahead.
Nope, don't give him the mic. Nope.
Cut nobody off. I definitely don't want to cut anybody off. I said, what do you think? What do you think when Elon says that Twitter is going to turn into App X?
Yeah.
And it's going to be the one-stop shop application. What does that mean for you? Or what do you think that means?
Yeah, I think a big part of that will be, again, I was just talking about finding ways to merge platforms together. I think that at some point, like Twitter may either fall directly under the primary company or somehow it connecting together. And I think that while we don't know what that means to the world, because of Tesla's impact, because of all of the different products and services that are there and that he has his hands involved in, I think he's looking at, okay, how can I impact the world? And being able to have Twitter merge with Tesla or SpaceX, merging that together, I think that's the direction that we're moving with that.
I have a thought. I'm going to give you mine, but I'm after Cam. Go ahead, Cam.
So as we already know, Elon Musk has talked about openly how he wants Twitter to become a payment system. And so Twitter, in his mind, when he says App X, he's talking about, I want Twitter to not only be a place where people come to talk, I want it to be a place where people come to exchange currency, because he wants Twitter to also be able to exchange crypto. So cryptocurrency, so literally people and money. He wants to create a place where you can either deal with people and or money. And so creating a one-stop shop, Facebook, like they tried to do it, but like, I have never had anybody send money through Facebook. And if you did, I'd probably think you got hacked. I'd be like, bro, come on, dog. You sending money through Facebook? But as we know, PayPal owns Venmo.
Yep.
So he's literally just, he's like inchworming. Yeah, the PayPal mafia. So he's literally just inchworming his way into a single platform to bring everybody and anybody so that they don't have to leave.
Yes, I think that's right. I'm 100% with that. I think that's the route I was going. I think to take it one step further, not only is he going to have the cryptocurrency there with Twitter, he's also going to integrate that into his business structure.
Yep.
Right. So as he's able to get Twitter, and Twitter then aligns under X, right? Mm-hmm. And it's all together with SpaceX. It's all together with Tesla, right? Imagine a AR or a VR experience where the astronauts are holding some type of something, and you get to access that via Twitter. Right. And so that access comes via Twitter. You have to maybe pay some type of premium or something. But he pays the premium in Dogecoin, or he pays the premium in Bitcoin or Ethereum, probably XRP most likely, because that's honestly. So XRP, right? And so all of these things just align, and it just makes it perfect. And I think I'm with Cam, and Glenn, I'm with you also. I think that X app, whatever that would be, I think it's going to revolutionize the entire social media space. I think Elon's been very quiet with AI and all this stuff going on. I think that they should be very wary of Elon when he's not talking, because he likes to talk.
So, he does.
Yep.
So my boy Mo commented, "Yep," and he's my XRP, my XLM, my Hedera. That's my guy. Shout out to my boy.
Cardano, yeah, Solana, yeah, man. Let's get into it for sure.
All right, so we're gonna pull up. So I'm gonna pull up the next article. Rico, if you want to talk about it, and then we'll get it moving. It's the prime age workers.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack. I'm gonna really just keep this short. Basically, guys, what this article is talking about is that as people start to go back into the workforce, not only are there less jobs that are available, but also the people that are going back into the job force are prime age. And what prime age is 25 to 54, right? And then people 55 and older, they're not returning to the workforce. As jobs and as things become more available, they're not really returning. Now, that you could say that would be a great thing or a good thing, because obviously they should be retired. But that wasn't the trend that we saw during COVID.
Correct.
Right. So now I dare to say post-COVID era, right? A lot of times there's a lot of, I know, right? Knock on wood. A lot of times in these cases, these demographics don't show a very clear picture. So you can't really tell exactly what's going on or what's the root of why this is happening. But they gave a couple of reasons throughout this, throughout the article. And what they said is 55-year-old people, let's be honest, to the majority of them, they're probably overeducated, overqualified for a lot of these jobs. If they have 20 plus, 30 plus years of experience, they're not going to come into an entry level or even a mid-entry level, right? Or mid-level job. They're C-suite. After 25, 30 years, you're C-suite or better. And if you're not getting that level of job as you come in or in the professional ranks or in the professional settings, then it's you're probably not going to take it, right? So that's one part of that. That's one piece of it. Now, the second piece of this article, and you could probably scroll down, let the people see it, Cam. I want to go down to, so those are the numbers you see, like we were talking about, 25 to 54 is going up. Go down a little bit more. I want to get down to the job openings. We talked about that. I want to get down to the actual racial demographics right there. That is very interesting. And this I definitely agree with. So what is it saying? It's saying brown and black people, let's just keep it honest, brown and black people were very weary of going back to work during the COVID era. Why is that, though? Well, the reason for that is because brown and black people hold a larger percentage, right, per capita of doing labor-based work.
Facts.
And so you're going to be in much closer proximity with other people. So obviously you don't want to go in if there's something that's highly contagious that's going on, right? I don't want to go into a job where I'm always around other people. Now, juxtapose that to the white counterparts, whereas they may work more white collar jobs, they're not in close proximity with people, or they can isolate themselves. So this was this is pretty deep. And what this tells us is, is a lot of the jobs tertiary, or, because there's 3 different levels of jobs. There's a primary, secondary, third, tertiary, right? Tertiary is service jobs. Are those the majority of the jobs that are being filled? And so that brings me to, I'm kind of done with the article, but that brings me to my questions for you guys. I'll let you guys give your breakdown. But the question is, right? Remember when I said everyone's saying that the unemployment rate is going down, but then there's so many layoffs?
Yeah.
That brings me to my question. What are those numbers? Are these false numbers, or are they being fed by a false narrative? Basically, are we filling a lot of service jobs, but saying that the unemployment rate is dropping when we're really not filling professional jobs?
So first thing, I don't think we're filling as many professional jobs as we say we are. And what I mean by that is I think the metrics are being skewed because companies are laying people off and then getting rid of those jobs. So you can't count a job that's not filled if the job no longer exists.
Exactly.
And so I feel like that's the skew that's happening. Because I mean, y'all know me, I'm all over LinkedIn. I'm a recruiter, so I'm embedded in that world. And granted, there's a lot of positions out there. You hear some recruiters that's like, no, there's not that much, but like recruiters who are out there say that there is a large amount of jobs, but there's also a lot of jobs being getting rid of. The second thing is, when you're talking about labor, did you see the article about Florida?
Yes.
How they just passed that legislation where you're no longer allowed to hire illegal immigrants to work in construction, agriculture, anything. Like what?
I think they're gonna find that very difficult to execute.
They will.
There's no way their economy can. And I lived in Florida for 6 years. There's no way that economy can go. It just won't.
Americans are not built for that type of work. Let's just be 100 with it.
We don't want to do it. I say we don't want to do it. We don't want to do it.
Yeah.
We don't want to do it. Yeah.
So that's my view. G, what you got?
No, I agree with you guys, and I agree all the way around. Something just kind of highlighting in the article for our data folks, for our numbers. Some of the, as I was reading, I thought it was very interesting. I thought all these numbers were interesting. And same thing, I feel that the numbers are skewed. But it said April of 2023, which is obviously just not too long ago, 5.8 million Americans are unemployed. And it said 9.6 million job openings, right? So that's almost 2 job openings per individual who are considered unemployed. And so I found that interesting because while there's still a lot of help wanted signs, or we're hiring signs, there's still a lot of people who are applying that are not getting these jobs, right? And kind of when it talked about the COVID piece, something that was kind of interesting to me that Rico had just talked about, as far as like one of the concerns of the Black and brown community during that period was they feared going back to work because day to day they're more exposed to the people in their work centers versus other ethnicities, right? And so, and then the last thing that it had mentioned, and unfortunately is true, it talked about the stimulus check, right? So it was saying that one of the reasons why the Black and brown community are not so urgent to get back into the work field is because almost in the hopes of another stimulus check. And it talked about the last stimulus check was March of 2021, right? And so it's an unfortunate and sad thing that that's the mindset in our community like that, right? And again, when you go in other communities, it's not like that because they're okay. Yeah. Let's park there.
Hang on. That's true. That's true. And I totally agree with that. Now, a piece of that though is systematic.
Oh, 100%.
Anytime you've had 40 to 50 years of where the government has replaced the father in the home. Now, I don't want to get it too deep or anything, but the elementary school to prison pipeline makes it makes a big difference, right? And so anytime that essentially the father in the home has been Uncle Sam, right, paying welfare and things, you get people adjusted or addicted almost to a system.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're Black and brown have been addicted to a certain system that we need to get ourselves off of 100%. Very true. But at the same time, I feel like that's a little bit systematic as well. But
100%.
But I'm with you, G. I'm 100% with you. You don't need to be waiting on anybody's stimulus check.
Mm-hmm.
None of these politicians are saving you.
Right. And that's the point. That's the point. And that's the point I wanna highlight. Like, not sticking around, not only sticking around, right? If that's an option, cool. It could be an option, but don't let that just be you waiting around on how you can support your family, right? And so Sunita, what's up?
Cynthia said, what did she say? Or is
it that metrics are going off in person versus telework? And then
that's good. I like that.
That's a great question.
Khalid Muhammad said they're totally skewed. Funny how the current unemployment percentage is considered too low by the Fed.
And that's so this is the thing that I'm talking about. And all this links back to even the skewing of financial numbers and earnings by these banks. This isn't, controversial central or anything like that. It's just the numbers aren't adding up, right?
They're not.
That's all we're saying.
Facts.
If we're filling all of these professional jobs that we're claiming that we're filling, there's no way where inflation would even matter. Yeah. I mean, not to say it doesn't matter, but if you're getting paid, $75,000 to $150,000 a year, it adjusts. It adjusts. Now, California, it's a little bit more difficult. New York, it's a little bit more difficult. Illinois is a little bit more difficult. But like your Floridas, Texas, right? These economic and industrial powerhouses, you would see a lot of people living there, and there would be really no worry. Inflation wouldn't affect them as it is, and so something's not adding up, right?
Yeah, right.
And I believe that the numbers are skewed, and it's just service jobs that we're filling. And we're counting it like it's a professional job, but it doesn't matter what title you put on it. If it's a service job, it's a service job, and it doesn't pay out, and it doesn't feed into the economy the same. And I think that's what we're seeing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a great question.
Great question.
All right. So as we move on to our third article, Rico, go ahead and talk about it's the U.S. has become.
Yeah, and this is. We can go through this entire article. I'm trying to summarize things today because I want to make sure that people hear our dialogue. I want to make sure that we get the opinions in. The thing about it is this: we can read through this article, but basically what it's saying is that we've become a nation of caregivers, right? Thanks. And this is very true. But this was initiated after World War II. Let's be honest. Come on, And so this is the history of the things that we have with Social Security. We were just talking about it: welfare, Social Security. Anytime that you start giving people the fish instead of teaching them how to fish, this is what ends up occurring. And you teach that over generations and years and years and years. And now those people are 60, 70 years old. Their children and grandchildren were taught the exact same things. And so you have 3 generations of people that are stuck doing this. And honestly, the cost to retire, it's much more expensive now, right? And we talk about this, and I picked this particular article because obviously, guys, in our field and what we do as fiduciaries, it's super important. And we talk about this all the time. What is that? Are you properly assessing the cost to retire, right? Yeah. The cost of aging. Are you properly assessing that? Because if you sat and had a financial plan for your long-term care, any of these things, if you had that plan back 10, 15 years ago, it's totally been eradicated.
It really has, though.
And if you don't realize that, you're going to be back working, or you're going to be stuck in the situation of what we're talking about in this article, where you have your family members that are taking care of these people now, right? But it's at a cost because they're not being paid to take care of their grandparents, their aunts, these people. They're not. no one's paying us to do that, right? And how can you take care of your parents and your aunt if you're not working yourself?
Right.
Right. So it's the whole 2-3 generations of people not working, and so it just digs the hole deeper and deeper for the debt ratio for families. And so, the thing for me is sitting down and actually having, so if you're working and you have parents that are headed that way, or they're, in the twilight years of their life, and you need to make sure, number one, you yourself, because if you're taking care of somebody, then you realize how stressful it is. But make sure that you have a plan for your long-term care, right? It's, pennies a day, dollars a day, basically, is what it would cost you to make sure that you have a plan that when you get older, there's sufficient funds to take care of your medical issues, any medications, any of those type of things, right? Or if you have to be in assisted living or in a home, that stuff is covered, and that your family doesn't find you to be, what we say, you're either a liability or an asset, making sure you're not a liability. So that whole article, honestly, was just talking about how now we're taking care of everybody, and people haven't set aside the proper financial plan. They don't have long-term care, and the long-term care is your kids or your grandkids. And that's costing them, because even if I'm doing that, I can't afford to pay someone to come in and then I can't work. Right. So now it's digging us even deeper holes. So I want to get you guys' opinion on all of that.
Yeah, first of all, I'll say if anyone that's watching or rewatching this, if you're a caregiver, shout out to you, because while I don't have that experience, 100%. Just hearing some of the stories is it could be taxing on a lot of people financially, mentally, physically even. And so that's first and foremost. The other thing I thought was interesting, it said 60% of caregivers work full-time or part-time.
Yeah.
That's more than half, and when I thought about that, I was just like, the amount of people that actually I know, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But again, to one of the points that was highlighted in the article is that people are not financially fit.
Nope.
Let alone majority of folks are not even contributing a significant amount to their retirement to hit their retirement goal, let alone, bring on that added responsibility, right? And so it made me sit and kind of think about this. My mom, she'll be 60 this year, and I thought about, while she's still fairly healthy overall, just kind of thinking about, potentially having to move her in, or
right.
My wife's family,
right.
having to become that caregiver. It just kind of put me in that mental space. And then when it kind of talked about how a lot of people, unfortunately, it's diving or pushing them into more debt. But it's like, now, as seeing your loved one need that support, what do you do? Right? You have to make that's a tough decision if you're not financially fit. And so the point that I want to highlight here is that if you are currently not in a financial position, right, based off of your finances, like Rico was saying, like, you got to get a plan to make sure that you're setting yourself up, right? I know people personally so close to me that have had in the last 2 years, going back to kind of us talking about COVID, have had to empty out their savings, had to empty out their retirement. And like, now if that next layer of life happens to them, like, it's tough. It's tough. And then the unfortunate thing is, I think I mentioned this on the podcast that Cam and I were talking about, is that life will not stop happening. Unfortunately. However, how you prepare for it, that's what you can control. And so I want to encourage our listeners to look at your finances, find a solid fiduciary who's educated and can really, really help you come up with a plan so that you can reach your financial goals.
Mm-hmm. So this affected me 18 years ago.
Wow.
I mean, my great grandmother had dementia, and that was, and so as she got worse, her condition got worse, all my aunts had to come up with money to try and take care of her. And as you know, California is expensive. And literally, I mean, I saw her legitimately go through probably 7 different homes because the price went up, because there wasn't enough caregivers, or what, you name it, that was a reason. And so, so even in the article, it talks about there's 114 caregivers for every 1,000 residents.
Crazy. And I know we're getting close on time, but I want to mention this too. It was saying that caregivers generally are paying 25% of their income. And when I read that, I was like, people are not contributing 5% of their income to their retirement.
And that's my point. How could you ever think that you? So what is it? What has it done? That generational, it's a generational curse. Because what have you done?
Yep.
Now you placed yourself back basically negative 20%.
Yep.
Right. And then your kids got to make that up, and it's going to put them back negative 50, and it keeps going and keep going. So this is something that we definitely got to get a hold of. I mean, it's very important for us to work this out.
For sure.
Definitely. One last comment before we wrap it up.
Taking the time to learn. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is
See
the
that?
first step to understand why getting help is so important. So, hey, Singleton, first of all, I'm glad that you're on here. I 100% wholeheartedly agree with that there. And that right there is the number 2 reason of why I jumped into the financial industry to educate my community.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then Khalid, he had to leave a little bit earlier, but he said the wealth gap is only growing. That's why financial education is so important. Great information, guys.
I appreciate Khalid. Thank you for tuning in, man. And totally agree with your comment. 100%. That's why we're out here.
Facts.
That's why we got Coach Cam, we got Glenn Davis, man, and you know, you guys are stuck with me, but you got those two.
Hey, he's that guy. But hey, we're 1 minute over our time, or 2 minutes, I guess, according to the iPhone. But hey, we appreciate you guys so much tuning in. We're here every Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The three of us are just here to spread knowledge, spread education, and ultimately, you know, like Rico said, change those generational curses so people can prosper for the future. But other than that, guys, any comments?
Nah, Singleton, appreciate you chiming in. All of our viewers, I appreciate you guys taking the time out to connect with us for 30 minutes. Y'all enjoy y'all weekend.
There we go.
Peace.